From very beginning slide, I'm just starting a lecture with the very important line, that is a percent %p by inline. The purpose of this line to understand how we can use Pandas library or any kind of NumPy library or any kind of the Matplotlib library into the work notebook. So we are whatever inline function, whatever any kind of the function, whatever any kind of the Matplotlib libraries in other kind of library we are using and importing, that must be included into the notebook, and that is composed or integrated by the notebook. So we are using this line. So the purpose of this line to populate the interactive namespace from NumPy and Matplotlib. And the second point, what I'm doing, I'm just importing pandas library as a pd and import numpy as a numpy. So next step, we am just what I'm doing, I'm just making the data frame and following by the various columns named by the a b c d, and with the help of the respectively its own values in terms of the rows and columns. So how many columns we have? We have the four columns a b c d, and number of rows we have three, indexed by the 0 1 2, in which it is clearly determined that the NaN has been defined. The purpose of NaN means the not a number, and it is defined by the numpy variable, that is a np dot NaN. So with the help of the such thing, we are just defining no, no, missing data. So all this NaN just identifies into our program that is this is the missing data, and we are just missed some data to be filled out. So with this concept, I'm starting my all the concept that how we define the missing data and how we can use the such kind of missing data. From this point, we can use isNull method to check whether a cell and contains a numeric value. If it is contain numeric value, then it could be false. Else, if does not have any value, then it is means the data is missing. So the answer would be for the cell would be the true. So with the help of the isNull method, we can do such thing. So as you can see in the output, a b c d columns and 0 1 2 are the index values. So with respect to columns and row wise, you can find thus all the values are filled by the fast except the 2 points, where the c columns and one index that is true, and same case we have the b columns and second index where could be the true. So because these two values belong to the not a number part, and for the large data frame, we may want to use some method which return the number of missing values per column. So by this doing this, we can do data frame dot is null dot sum. So with the help of the sum method, we can identify how many not a number we have. So because the large data number, it is not easy to find the how many not a number we have. So with this method, we can find. Please note that we can always access the underlying NumPy array of the data frame via the values attribute before we feed it into the sklearn estimator. So with the help of the df.values, values is a method or not a method, it is a variable of the data frame by which you can access or represent your information in form of the array. So as you can see into the our output, the information represented from the array nature. In the array nature, the information which is displayed by the data frame does not represent the name of the columns and index values. So only it just represents the only information which is contained by the rows and columns manner. So far we have seen how to define the missing data. Next we need to see the eliminating sample features with missing cells via pandas library and followed by the drop any method. We can remove the corresponding features. Features mean we're talking about the columns, and the samples we're talking about the rows from the data set. So now it is also possible to remove such kind of the information. The rows with missing values can be dropped by the pandas.dataframe.dropAny method. So this is important method by which we can drop those rows and those columns which are having the not a number values or not a number information. So this is the time we need to remove such kind of information. Now here we have a drop any method. Why with the help of the drop any method, we can remove such rows which are having at least one NaN. NaN means not a number values, not a number information. So you can see into the output, it is clearly mentioned that row number 1 and row number 2. Row number 1 and 2 means is a type among index term. So index values 1 and index values 2, which are represented by the position number of the row, that is 1, and position number of the row is second or third. So in this second and third row, the at least one NaN belongs to the row column supported by the column C and followed by the column B. So the drop NaN measures such kind of all those rows. So final output only display on the one row which are having no NaN information. So the output, as you can see over the slide. So next we can say that we can drop column that have at least one NaN in any row by setting the access argument to 1, where access means we have the 0 means we are talking about the index, and 1 where means we are just talking about the columns. So df dot drop na access is equal to a 1, we are passing this parameter. With this we can drop such column which are having at least one NaN. So as you can see in the output, it is clearly mentioned that the final output, column number C and column number B is having NaN value. So column number A and column number D does not have any NaN value. So column number B and column number C will be discarded or removed from the our output. So it is shown by. It is also possible to remove all those rows which are having all the complete NaN into the entire cell. So it is also possible to remove with the help of the how is equal to all parameter we can pass into drop NaN method. So as you can see into the output is clearly mentioned no rows belong to the complete NaN part. So the output will be the same as the data frame. So drop only that do not have at least 4 non NaN values. So with this we can remove the all those rows which are having at least 4 NaN non-NaN and to the our range. So as you can see in the second row number 2 and row number 3, it means row index value 1 and 2 which are having by the row completely discarded or removed because the threshold value is equal to 4. So we are passing the thresh parameter which is assigned to the 4 value, while we are just removing such row and column. So if in this row at least one n is found, it will be discarded. So maximum it is could be found up to the 4. So 4 n will be found, it will be discarded. But in case of 5 n will be passed into the such rows, it could not be deleted because the threshold value was the 4, which could be minimum defined by the range. So we have defined the 5, so it is not be discarded. So but in our example, all the rows which are having at least one NaN will be discarded because we are passing the threshold value 4. So our one NaN value will be undercome into the threshold value 4, so it will be discarded row number 2 and rows number 3. It means rows number second position rows and third position rows will be discarded. So only drop rows where NaN appear into the specification column. Here we are taking the C column. So as you can see, if you need to delete such row where the column belong to the any NaN value, so in the column number C belong to the NaN value into the column row number 3, so such row will be discarded. So this is just idea about how we can remove the missing values, or how we can remove the such rows and column which are having the missing value. So it is also possible to remove such part. Now next part we have estimating missing values by the interpolation. Now it's time to fill such kind of values with the help of the interpolation approach. The proposed interpolation approach, we can say we can use the imputation method. So with the mean imputation is a method replacing the missing values with the mean value of the entire feature column. While this method maintains the sample size and is easy to use, the variability in this data is reduced, so the standard deviation and the variance estimated tends to the underestimated. The purpose of this concept to fill the data with the help of the average value with the help of the median value with the help of the mode value, and depends on the what kind of the statistic method we are applying to fill such information. Because NaN means the not a number value which leads to missing value. So such missing value is does not belong to the or does not represent your appropriate information. So such information should be filled out of some value. So this is the method by which we can do. Imputation, we have a method. Imputation means a method by which we can fill the method with the help of the any mathematical approach or statistical approach. So this is the imputation term we have to see by the help of the an example. Now this is a simple example of imputation. So the purpose of imputation to fill out the missing values. So by this we need to go for a simple part of the code. So we need to go for the importing libraries, that is the imputer from the sklearn dot processing. So we are just doing this activity from the very beginning line, that is from sklearn dot processing from imputer. So imputer is a class which is compose or integrated into the sklearn libraries. So here we are replace each NaN value by the corresponding mean from each feature column. So we are just taking the variable which is the imputer. Imputer is equal to imputer. This imputer is what we have. Imputer is a method. So in this we are passing the value which is a missing value. Missing value, what we have missing value, that is NaN. So NaN is defined as into the previous example. So next one be part of the inform of the parameter, that is strategy is equal to mean. So it means we need to cover such information or fill such information with the help of the mean value. And we have the x is equal to 0. This is the third parameter of the imputer method. So the x is equal to 0 means we are talking about the column wise we need to fill such information. Next we have the imputer is equal to imputer dot fit df. It means that data frame will be fit into the imputer defined strategy or missing values parameters. So with respect to missing value parameters. Next we have imputed data is equal to imputer dot transform dot fit we can do, but we are just only transferring. So imputed dot transform df dot values. The purpose of this means we are just converting our arrays information arrays information which is have already seen our asked into the previous part. So convert it into a transform into the imputed data. And next we have the imputed data. Imputed data, we are just printing or displaying such information. So after overload this approach, what we are seeing, you can see into the slide the clearly mentioned that we are just having actual output and we are just having the imputed output. Column number C and column number B are just having NaN value, and which is just filled by the some values. As you can see, the column number C is just having 3 and 11 value and NaN, and just we need to calculate the average of the 3 and 11. So will be the 14 divided by 2, which is the 7. So 7 is filled out the NaN values, as you can see into the output. But I talk about the B value. So the average will be the 2 plus 6, that is 8. So divided by 2 will be the 4. So average will be the 4. So 4 value will be filled by the such columns. So this is a simple method of the imputation approach by which we can fill out all the information. Same thing we can do the row wise, so it is also possible to, but what is the approach by which we can do this thing. So this is the simple approach which we need to just slightly change. So next slide is showing such task how we can change this thing. As we have already seen to the previous slide, that is we can fill out the information through the imputation in form of the column wise. Now it is also possible to filter such information through the row wise. So we can use a row means if we change the setting x is equal to 0 to x is equal to 1. The same thing we are just taking the, but nothing has been changed except to the x is equal to 0 to x is equal to 1. So as you can see over the our program, we are just changing value x is equal to 1 parameter into the imputer method. So all the rest of the information belong to the same thing. So in the output of talk about, the output is output will be different from the previous one, because we are just doing task on the row wise rather than the column wise activity we have done in the previous slide. So if row wise if talk about the average, we need to calculate the if NaN value belong to the second rows and third rows. So if I talk about the second rows, the total values, how many total values except to the none will be 8 plus 6 plus 5, that is the would be the 5 plus 6 plus 8, that is the 19. 19 divided by 3, so answer would be the 6.33. So NN value will be filled out by the 6.33, as you can see into the our output. If I talk about the rows number 3, that is a index value is 2, having the row, and rows 3 will be having by the some values, that is the 0 plus 11 plus 12, which is the 23 divided by 3. So it answer would be the 7.666, and such information, that is the 7.66, filled out by the NAN. So this value replaces by the 7.666.7. So all the information can be could be filled out by the rows wise, while we have done to the previously column wise. So this is a little bit difference between the rows wise filling out and column wise fill out. This is the imputation method, and there's some other method by which we can fill out all the information, that is the fill in the method, and other information, other methods by which we can do. But imputation is a method, it is a good method which is mostly used by the today's era for solving such kind of the problem, like in the machine learning, data science. So there are so many applications of the imputation we can do. Imputation is a good method we can be where we can use the statistical method like mean, median, mode. So all these approaches we have to go for the imputation rather than the normal or simple method, just like a fill in function and so on. So except to all these function, I'm just taking the imputation method, imputation approach for filling such information. So this is the good thing I'm just taking over here for you. So just keep in mind all the information. This is the good point. So students, so far we have seen that how to define the missing value, how we can use missing value, and what is the purpose of missing value so far. So this is the idea we have seen, but we have also seen the how we can remove the such rows and column which are having or leading with the missing information. So such rows and column can be discarded or removed from the our data frame or database or data set. So this is also part we have already seen, into the previous slide or in this today. And the important part we have seen, that is imputation. Imputation is a method by which we can fill out all the information which are leading with the missing information. So all the rows and column can be filled out the some values that is mathematically calculated. That could be mean, median, average, mode, and so and so kind of the mathematical operations we can fill out the such thing. We have another approach like the standard deviation or variance of the statistical tools by which we can fill out all the information. So this is a various approaches by which we can sort out how we can use the missing data, missing value. So my dear student, today we have seen just a little bit idea about how we can handle the missing information. So this is the from my side. Thank you all of you for listening.